So we all know the story of Chanuka, right? And they came in, and there was no oil. They found a little vial of oil, and it was only for one day. They lit it. It lasted for 8 days. That's why I let them menorah. They have menorah. They have little menorahs, big menorahs, electric menorahs on your cars and your wherever you got it. We got menorah, right? And that's it. That's Chanuka. You light a menorah. So I just want to ask one small problem. If that's the story of Chanuka, if that's the big mitzvah, right? The mitzvah we do is Hanukkah's Ner Chanuka. So then why is the name Chanuka? Chanukah, from chinuch, to dedicate, and really Chanukah symbolizes something else. We all sing it in the song. The song says in this Farish, and we will spare you singing it, right? You sing Mo Sur, Azig Mor Bashir Mizmor, Chanukas HaMizbeach. The word Chanuka comes because Chanukas HaMizbeach. They rededicated the Mizbeach, the altar. When the Chashmonaim got into the Temple Mount, and everything was smashed and destroyed, they had to rebuild the altar so they could bring sacrifices. That was the whole point of the Beis HaMikdash. And they rededicated it. And they made a holiday. As a matter of fact, it says in Sefer HaMaccabim, they went in, they cleaned the place up, they refurbished the walls. V'yasu chanukas hamizbeach yomim shmona. And they made an 8-day celebration of the chanukas hamizbeach. Just like we always made 8-day celebrations when we dedicated altars in the Mishkan and other places. So the name Chanukah has to do with refurbishing and rebuilding and rededicating the altar to bring sacrifices. And you know how we celebrate that? We light a candle. We should carve a turkey. What are we lighting candles for? The menorah is the menorah. That was one of the vessels in the temple. The mizbeach is the mizbeach. That was another one of the kelim in the Beis HaMikdash compound. One got nothing to do with the other, right? Doesn't say there's any problem with the menorah. Yeah, it's right. Yeah, there was a miracle with the oil. So if we're celebrating the miracle of the oil, because Chanukas and Mizbeach wasn't a miracle, we won, right? You know, short version of Jewish history. They hate us, we fought them, we won, we eat, right? That's it, right? So we won and we ate. So we won, we dedicated the Mizbeach, we dedicated the whole joint. There was no miracle there. The Balaam was a miracle. The war was a miracle. And once we won, we went in, we fixed up the Mizbeach. Duh, obviously, we're going to the Beis HaMikdash. What are you going to do? The miracle was the oil. So what's the name Chanukah for? The name should have something with the menorah, the name should have with light. Pesach, Asher Pesach, got jumped at Sukkot, Hashavti, we sit in a Sukkot, Korban Pesach, we eat a Korban Pesach, right? Menorah, oil, light, fire, I don't know, something. Right? Eish Torah hadn't been invented yet when they made the holiday. They could have called it Eish Torah. That would have been stuck, but all right, they would have thought of something. So what kind of name is Chanukah? Now, so you would say it's not a little funny. It does seem to be two random things that happened. They happened to find oil, and that was a miracle, and they lit the menorah, and they happened to rebuild the altar, which they had to do anyways, and they happened to be at the same time. But it's not just random, because the Ramban, Parshas Baloscha, when it talks about lighting the menorah, which we will eventually read when we get to the end of Chanukah, Ramban says like this: Ra'isi b'medrash, I saw in the medrash, Kivin Shekuv and Shnei Masar Shvatim, when the 12 tribes, when they were dedicating the Mishkan in the desert, Lo Hikir Shevet Levi, Levi did not bring any kind of dedication, and he was upset, a little despondent. I didn't participate in the whole dedication process. Amalek HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Moshe, Daber al Aaron v'Martei Lav, speak to Aaron and say, there'll be another Chanukah. The Ramban's bothered why one story follows the other. They talk about 12 tribes bringing their sacrifices and dedicating the Mizbeach, dedicating the Mishkan, and then the very next thing is the law of lighting the menorah. What does the law of lighting the menorah have to do with the 12 Shvatim bringing sacrifice to dedicate the Mizbeach? It says, oh, because that was a makeup to Aaron. Yesh Chanukah acheres, there'll be another Chanukah to Mizbeach. Yes, Shevet Levi missed out on the original Chanukas HaMizbeach in the Mishkan, in the traveling tabernacle in the desert. Yes, they missed out on that. Aaron was a little miffed, right? He wasn't involved. Says, don't worry, Aaron. There's going to be another Chanukat HaMizbeach years in the future. Sheyesh ba hadlakas neiros. Part of that Chanukas HaMizbeach will involve lighting the menorah, and only the Kohen can light the menorah. I'm going to make a big miracle for the Jewish people with your descendants, Hashmonaim or Kohanim, right? And that'll make up for it. There's another Chanukah coming up that has in it hadlakas neiros. The Chanukat HaMizbeach had nothing to do with hadlakas neiros. They were two separate random things. Why is Rambam putting them together? That's our question. How do we always answer questions? With a question. Why do we do that? Do you know why speakers do that? Because they don't really know the answer to the first question, right? So they ask this great question. You're like, wow, I'm going to pay attention to this. Then they just talk long enough about the second question, say thank you very much. Everyone goes home, and by the time you say, hey, you never went back to the first question, right? So pay attention. We are going to try and do that. If I inadvertently forget, so next Hanukkah, call me back. We'll fix that up. But let's go to the second question. Second question is like this. What are we told? Says in the song, okay, got to stick with the song, man. Says with the song very clearly. Divani nikbetzu alai, right? The Greeks rose up in the times of the Chashmonaim. Portzu chamos migdalai. They destroyed the walls of the temple. They did horrible stuff. And you know what else? The tibu kol hashmanim. And they made impure all the oil. They pillaged, they raped, they destroyed Jewish people, they didn't let them do mitzvahs, they destroyed the Temple Mount. That, we don't mention that. But you know what they did? They touched the oil. That's like the worst thing they did. That was it. Oh my gosh, they put Tom in. There's no base on Mikdash. They put pigs onto the altar. The place is in shambles. If you tried to learn Torah, they killed you. Anytime a Jewish girl got married, she had to sleep with the governor first. But you know what really ticked us off, boy? They touched the oil. You don't touch the oil, okay? This is like our biggest problem. And we need a miracle. Because we want to light the menorah, and we might have to wait another 8 days till we get pure oil. First of all, oil is oil. It'll burn nice. You want non-tummy oil, so you wait another 8 days. You've been waiting for like the longest time. The Greeks have been running the show for the longest time. Another 8 days ain't going to make it or break it. And yet this is the holiday of Hanukkah. What was so bad about Timu Kol HaShmonim? So I want to take you back to the holiday of Sukkot. I was going to go forward to the holiday of Pesach, but the ladies look like they're having a really nice time this evening, and we wouldn't want to do fun. Right, so we'll go the other way. We'll go back, right? Let's go to Sukkot. We'll take you to the holiday of Sukkot. I want to take you to the very last Sukkot that I spent in Eretz Yisrael before we moved to Toronto. As you all know, I was originally living in Eretz Yisrael. My children, except for my youngest, children were all born there. And we moved here, we came originally from here, became later when my kids were, the oldest was 12, and then 10, and then 9, and down, and on so forth. Right? So our minute was in Eretz Yisrael the day before Sukkot. My wife was busy cooking, so I would get everybody out of the house, and we would go to the shuk in Mea Shearim, and we would buy a new Sukkot decoration. That was our minute. And we killed time. Come on, this one there, we negotiate, and it would kill a day. It was cheap. They were young, right? That guy could get away with it at the time. We bought a new Sukkot decoration. And every year they wanted the same one. Right? They go, Abba, Abba. I said, well, they want those little lights. That little like red fat guy there with the picture. We want those lights. Look, I don't know, it's so cute. Right? And I said, no, we're not buying those lights, man. No way, not in my sukkah. It's not going to happen. Right? And they couldn't get it. I said, shut up, we're not buying it, okay? Finally, though we didn't know it at the time, what ended up being our last sukkahs before we moved, all right? So, what happens? You give in. Okay, you want the lights? Buy the lights. Well, they're buying the lights. They got the lights. Come on. Look what we got. I said, what is the matter with you? I said, yeah, I'll cook. You take them out, okay? Listen. Right? And they're stringing the lights up in the sukkah. We sit down, first night of sukkahs in the sukkah, and those lights are twinkling, and I said, oh, this is just now. And they're like so happy. A year later, comes December time, and they say, wow, Abba, look, oh, look, that's wonderful. I said, yeah, okay, now you understand the problem? They had a little problem because our very first December in North America, so we went to New York to visit my in-laws, and so we went. I said we're going to take them. At the time we thought we'd only be here for a year, right? We ended up staying, as you can see, but. So I said we're going to take them to Manhattan. The kids they've never been in America before. Let's show them something, show them the ropes. Go to Manhattan. So they go to Manhattan, and they see on every corner there's like this, there's like these Santas with the the things are Salvation Army. These guys, right? They said, who is that guy? I said, well, the guy that has the thing, Santa Claus. I tried to explain what it is. Yeah, that's the guy in the picture in the box. Yeah, right. Okay, you got it. We thought, hey, there's another one. I said, yeah, well, there's like a lot of them, right? I said, but it's not for us. It'll be related. That we're walking by. I said, oh, look, Shema, the kind of guy said, Chanuka Sameach. I said, how did they do that? Some Israeli raid was a Santa Claus on the corner. He's talking to the kids in Hebrew. I said, okay, it's not working. So are they sukkah lights or are they Christmas lights? What are they? They're a string with a bow and play. They're lights. What makes them Christmas lights? What makes them Hanukkah lights? What makes them sukkah lights? What makes them anything? How they're used. Lights are lights. Oil is oil. But oil is not oil and lights are not lights. So my kids were right. They were pretty and they blink on and off. There's no reason they shouldn't be a sukkah decoration. But there's a question of sensitivities. The Rambam tells us, what was the miracle? What was the problem at the time of the Greeks? And what was the miracle? It says the Rambam like this. The Second Temple period, when the Greeks took over, Yisrael, they made a lot of decrees against the Jewish people. They tried to annul the religion. They did not allow them to study Torah. Did not allow them to fulfill the mitzvahs. And they stretched out their hands and they touched the money and the daughters of the Jewish people. And they went into the Heichal, and they destroyed everything, and the Jewish people were a mess, till the Hashmonaim took over. What a funny lie. They made decrees against religion. They did not allow us to keep the mitzvahs. They destroyed the temple. They brought pigs up as sacrifices on the holy altar. I get that. And if you would say they took away all our money, I hear it. If you say they raped all our daughters, I would understand it. It's not what he said. Pashtu Yadam, they stretched out their hands and touched the Mamonim, their money, and their daughters. What does it mean they touched their money? Many years ago on CFRB 1010, there was a fellow on the radio, he had a radio show, his name was Brian Costello. This is Brian Costello, taking care of your money. He did a really good job. He sat in jail, actually, for a couple of years for taking care of people. But that was Brian Costello. Brian Costello taking care of your money. Was he taking care of your money? He wasn't taking care of your money. It's not your money. You don't have any money. You have an expense account given to you by the good Lord. And at the end of your employment in 120 years, and if any of you have expense accounts, right, you want to see where you spent it. And if you spent it for the good of the firm and the company, then that's great. And if not, then that's bad. So what Brian Costello really meant was, this is Brian Costello, helping you take care of the money the good Lord has lent to you for 120 years. I don't know if he would have had people listening if that was the show, but he might have stayed out of jail. All right. It's not our money. Money is money. Money's not money. Depends how you look at it. Depends what your attitude is towards it. The Hebrew word for materialism is gashmius. Gashmius has as its source the word geshem, rain. Rainwater is what we use to fill a mikvah, and that's what brings purity to the world. Materialism is an opportunity to create purity, because we cannot serve God in a vacuum. So he allows us to think that there's a physical world here, and he allows us to think we have all these things, and then he gives us an expense account, and he says go do something positive with it. And that's how we purify ourselves. When you're impure, you dive head first into a mikvah. What's a mikvah? It's geshem, rainwater, which got there not through human intervention, but directly from God. And when you want to celebrate rebirth, when you want to celebrate the fact you can now emulate God again, because your body has reached a state where it can give birth again and produce life, or when a man wants to purify himself to reach a higher state, they dive into gashmius, geshem, rain. That's what you dive into. And we use that to create relationships. And we use that to bring children into this world. And we use it, our resources, to make the world a better place. And the Greeks didn't want that. The Greeks wanted us to have our money, but they wanted to defy it. They wanted to touch it. And they wanted us to think our money's our money. And the purpose of the money is just for money. They wanted the purpose of everything material to be just material. Pashti Yidayim, so they touched the most material things that we have, which are the most kadosh things that we have. Mamonam, our money, that's the resources that God gave us. And everybody has their own resources. And Benoseim, Jewish women, who create the Jewish future. And they don't mind if Jewish women are Jewish women. They just want to make sure that their body's not sold. That's what we always talk about to the girls. We ask them, are you a body or are you a neshama? You have a body, but you are not a body. Right? And we just had a speaker over Shabbos. She phrased it, right? We're not human doings. We're human beings. Right? We're people that accomplish things. Right? And what's the material world do out there? They make you believe that if your hair is a certain way, or you have the name of some jerk on your shirt, that you are now a popular, happy person. He's a popular, happy person because he's making a lot of money on your insecurities, right? Especially if you're a teenage girl who's full of insecurities and has your parents' credit card, right? But we're not that. We don't define ourselves by the name of a person on a shirt. We don't define ourselves by the size of the house, or how expensive our sheitel is, or the car we drive, or the letters before or after our name. Those are things that God has given us as part of our expense account to do something positive with. So oil is not oil. If it was touched and defiled by the Greeks, then it's not what we want to use. But it'll bring light, not the kind of light that we want. It'll create a fire, but fire can be destructive, or fire can give warmth and happiness. How do you battle that? How do you battle that insensitivity? How do you battle the fact that we live in a world which wants us to be bodies, who wants to define ourselves by what we own, not by who we are? How do we battle that? And it's particularly difficult in our generation. I grew up in the 60s. It was at least idealism. People cared about things. Now you're defined by what you own and what you wear. And everyone's looking over their shoulder. And if you're not defined by what you own and what you wear, you're defined by what's on the top of your head, and then what school you go to, and you know, what kind of, if you wear a blue shirt or a white shirt. How do we get past all that? How do we get through all that? And that's why the times preceding Mashiach is called Ikvasa de Mashiach. Ikvasa de Mashiach, the footsteps of Mashiach. We all know, everyone's talking about we're Ikvasa de Mashiach, the world's only going to, Chazal tell us, we only have 6,000 years, we're getting closer and closer to the end. 5,771, we're getting so much closer to the end. Ikvas to the Mashiach. Why is it called Ikvas to the Mashiach? What is an akev? An akev is a heel. A heel is a part of the body that doesn't feel much of anything. It's all calloused over. It has no sensitivities, has no feeling. And Ikvas to the Mashiach, what it's talking about is people that do, the foot walks, but it doesn't feel the ground that it's on. The heel doesn't feel where it is. So we can do everything that we do, and Baruch Hashem, we have all the amenities that we need. And we're not fighting to find a job where we don't have to work on Shabbos, and we're not stuck with no kosher food. And you can wear your kippah wherever you want. And it may cost money, but you can find appropriate clothing. The problem is the feeling, the sensitivity. And Nikvas of the Mashiach, our problem will be our sensitivities. Where we're doing it, and we got it, and we have it, but it's lost its passion. How do you get that passion back? For that we have to go back to our first problem. So let's go back to our first question. First question was, Chanuka is a Mizbeach. We're celebrating the dedication of the Mizbeach, and we're celebrating by lighting a menorah. What? That doesn't make any sense. Well, let's go back to traditionally what always was Chanuka Mizbeach. When they dedicated the first Mizbeach, back in the Mishkan, on the 8th day, which was the end of the 8th-day process of setting up and putting the Mishkan together, Moshe and Aaron come out. They brought their karbanos. Vayava Moshe and Aaron Lo El Moed. They gave a bracha to the nation, and God responded. And what did He do? Vayira Kvod Hashem El Kol Ha'am. The glory of God appeared to everybody. Vateitzei Eish Milifnei Hashem. A fire came down from heaven and ate the sacrifices on the Mizbeach. We built a Mishkan. We built an altar. We did it. God responded with a fire from heaven. First temple. We get to the land of Israel, build the temple. We don't need a traveling tabernacle anymore. Shalom Melech builds the temple. Brings karbanos. And what are we told? Once again, the same thing. Va'esh yardem hashamayim. Fire came down from heaven. Kvod Hashem molei habayis. The glory of God filled the whole house. Says in Divrei Yomim, the bayis molei anot. The house was full of a cloud of the glory of God. God responded. We did our part. God responded. Second temple. Second temple. The second temple was supposed to be even greater than the first temple. Chagai, when it predicts the second temple, God says, you'll build the second temple. You're in Bavel. 70-year exile is over. Let's get out of here. Let's go back. Let's reclaim the land of Israel. A huge opportunity. We can build the temple and recreate the Commonwealth. Recreate the monarchy. Have a temple and everything will be hunky-dory. And you know what's going to happen? I'm going to fill the house of the second temple with the glory of God, just like the first one. The second temple is going to be greater than the first one. It wasn't. It wasn't. Second temple was missing 5 things. It was missing the Aron. They didn't have the Kaporos and the Kruvim. There was no fire that came down from heaven. But it tells us in Ezra when they dedicated the second temple, it says they brought all these sacrifices and garnished. Nothing. They lit a fire, they burnt it. No fire from God. God didn't respond. Why not? What went wrong with the dedication of the second temple? They came, they built it, they did it. Somebody must have donated the money for it. They had money to do it. Probably, I'm sure, Voss's Dias carried it all over the place. All right? And Yeshiva World News had it front and center. It was a big deal. It was the second temple, you know. So why didn't God respond? Everybody was waiting there with their iPhones, looking, watching to see what would happen. And nothing was going on. Says the Sefer HaKuzari. Do you know what went wrong in the second temple? Yes. The second temple was supposed to be greater than the first. Had the Jewish people in Babylonia responded to the call and gone back to the land with Nefesh Chafetza, it would have happened. Only a small portion of the Jewish people could be bothered to leave Babylonia, go to the land of Israel, and rebuild the temple. Rubam, the majority of them, Chashuvim Shebehem, the important, the aristocracy, did not go. They stayed back in Bavel. Why? The temple's being built. 70-year exile's over. Let's go. Why didn't they go? Says the Sefer HaKuzari, Maskemim legalut v'lashiabud, they preferred to be in exile and to be enslaved by the Babylonians that they lived among, ubilbad, as long as lo yipardu, because they did not want to leave mimishkanosam, from their houses, or mayaskemen, from their businesses. They couldn't leave their nice homes and a nice business. But we're building the second temple. I'll send a check. But we're rebuilding the land of Israel and we're going to create a Jewish monarchy. I'll buy an apartment, leave it empty for 11 months and come for a month. I'm busy. Next week. Next year. It is important. And as soon as I just finish one more deal, I'm there. No Mesiras Nefesh. They were not prepared to go the extra mile. God relates to us the way we relate to Him. We go the extra mile, we put out a little Mesiras Nefesh, God will respond. So when God saw that they built the temple, they walked the walk, they did the thing, they put it up, they did what they were supposed to do, and all the rich people sent their big checks, and everybody did it. It was really great, but they really didn't care because it was of secondary importance, and they had no excitement, and they had no enthusiasm. And they did the minimum, and they were Yitzchak, and leave me alone because I got other things to do with my time. So God responded in kind. And when they put this in, all the covers are there. Where's the fire? No fire. You had no fire? God's not sending fire. Until the time of the Chashmonaim. The Chashmonaim, Rabbi Miatim, Tameim Biatorim, few in number, but they had Mesiras Nefesh. They saw that something had to get done. They got to Har Zion and they see that everything's destroyed. They tore their clothes. They wept. They stuck their necks out because they were clear. They had a value system. They knew what was important and what was not important. And they passed it on to their children. They had their value system straight. And they went the extra mile, and they had Mesiras Nefesh, they had enthusiasm and passion, and they went out there and they fought him and they did it. And they dedicated the Mizbeach for 8 days. How did God respond? He gave them the fire they deserved. And that menorah burned for 8 days. The fire of the menorah was God's response to the fire in the hearts of the Chashmonaim. You want to battle indifference? You want to battle walking the walk and talking the talk? You want to battle the idea where the younger generation is so disconnected? You want to battle the idea that I'm really busy, it's really important, but later? You have to have Mesiras Nefesh. You have to have fire. You have to care. It's really easy to die as a Jew, but it's really hard to live as one. A young lady once walked into my office and said, "You know, Rabbi Feigenbaum, I wish I would have been alive during the time of the Holocaust." I said, "What is the matter with you?" I mean, there were a lot of things the matter with her. We're like, what was the matter with you? What do you mean you wish you would have been alive at the time of the Holocaust? Right, Feigenbaum, if I would have been alive at the time of the Holocaust, I would have stolen a potato and carved out and put a Chanukah candle in it. I would have gone into the woods to join the partisans. I would have been a hero. They would have written a book about me. I would have been a somebody. And now I'm a nice girl, and I go to Baycrest, I'm Nubinos, and like, who cares? But don't we all feel like that someday? Don't we all feel like we read all these great books? Ain't no one going to write a book about us. No one's going to write a book about us. My favorite story. I think it's almost out on every CD that I put out from the school. But I just can't stop telling it. Certainly when I'm speaking to parents. Favorite story. Many years ago, before the Ferris, I was still teaching boys. And I happened to be talking about Daf Yomi. And a kid pipes up and says, "Oh, my dad does Daf Yomi." Yeah, he gets eggs. And he goes, "Really? Dad does Daf Yomi?" This is years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. Yeah, my dad does Daf Yomi. And I knew the family, and I mean, nice people, but I'll be honest, wasn't the kind of father I would have thought would have done Daf Yomi. He says, "Yeah, he leaves the house like 6:15 in the morning, and he goes and he does Daf Yomi." And the kid said, "Well, that's pretty good." Yeah, he was real proud of himself. So I thought, I'm going to wait till PTA, I'm going to bring it up. So the parents came for PTA, and I told the father, I said, "I hear you do Daf Yomi." And he looks, he says, I said, who'd you hear from? So I told him the story. I heard from your son. He goes, "Really?" He said, "I'm going to tell you the truth. I did not really have much of an education when I grew up. And I'll be honest, I go with my art scroll at 6 o'clock in the morning with the art scroll, with a cup of coffee. I'm not following most of what's going on. I really don't understand most of the class. But I'll tell you why I do it. I did it because I wanted my son to see that learning Torah is important. I wanted to see his father take a Gemara, walk out of the house, or no, kid probably not even up then, but no, that his father goes out, leaves the house at 6 o'clock in the morning, 5:45 in the morning, and goes to a shiur, which he might not. And truth is, I know the father probably did not understand most of it, based on his background. But he made a difference in the life of his kid, because he had enthusiasm and passion. Much greater than someone who, sits on his desk and can read great articles and maybe is great, really erudite. Does he show passion? Does he show Mesiras Nefesh? Do you feel yourself going the extra mile? And it's not exciting. Because you're right, no one's going to write an art scroll book about it. We're not looking for Mesiras Nefesh of, mortgaging your house and moving into a hovel so you can donate money to save some family from starvation. We're talking about finding the passion to get to davening a few minutes earlier. Finding the passion to changing the atmosphere at your Shabbos table. Finding the passion to come home early enough to eat supper with your kids. Studies show families that eat together 3 times a week in the non-Jewish world. They did studies to try and figure out some kind of a concept of where kids can get into drug abuse. If they eat 3 nights a week with parents, the level of drug abuse drops dramatically. So don't take them to Disneyland because you're not staying late at the office. But your kids would rather have you home for supper than have a razzle-dazzle vacation once a year. Find the time to make sure your daughters see you daven. Make sure you see you say Tehillim. I know you do, but do they see it? Don't ask them to do it with you. Just do it when you know that they're around. Let them go shopping with you and find a really nice dress and turn it down because it's not super appropriate. We can find something better. That's Mesiras Nefesh. That's going the extra mile. That's embarrass yourself in front of your kids to say, no, I don't know, let's go ask. That Mesiras Nefesh can break through all the insensitivities. And when you do that, you get fire back, but you don't always see the fire. Let me end with a story and one little exercise we can all do. So there was a fellow who had to say Kaddish in Shagadat for a father, I think. And but he was a business guy. His business involved us being in a lot of different places. But Baruch Hashem, he was relatively well off, and he could arrange his flights. You don't have to look for the cheapest flight, Baruch Hashem. So he would always make sure to arrange his travels to make sure that he would always daven everywhere. Shachar was not always the biggest problem. Mincha Meir was tricky depending on the time of year, right? But his secretary already knew, and arranges his flight schedules to make sure everything's okay. And he had to fly from Miami to back to New York, right? And so he made sure that everything would be okay, that he would land in New York in plenty of time to daven Mincha Marv. You can always find late, so in New York, certainly in Brooklyn, right? But Mincha's Mincha, right? Sun sets, the show's over. So he arranged a flight that he should land with Mamish. If it'll be delayed, he should be okay. Gets on the plane. Right, and there's, okay, we're waiting. He's waiting, he knows he's okay, he got it all planned out. So then there's another delay, and he's looking at his clock, and things are not getting so good. And he's getting really nervous. He says, what's going on? Well, we don't know, we're going to be a little more delayed. And he says, listen, I got it, right? Can I take another flight? You're on the plane, man. You're on the plane, you can't get off the plane, right? That does not happen. And he's looking at us and says, okay, this is a flight from Miami to New York. You would think there's another 9 Jewish people on the flight, okay? So he says, now he's not the type to, okay, we have a minute, Mr. Project Inspire, let's all go down to Mincha on the airplane. That's like not him, okay? So he looks around, he sees, there's another guy with a yarmulke. He says, I gotta say Kaddish, like Mincha, maybe you think there's a minion. So yeah, well, maybe we can do a minion, yeah, So, and this guy was a little more of thicker skin. She goes, okay, folks, anybody, look, okay, so okay, you're Jewish, I can see you're Jewish, right? Mincha, yeah. He goes around walking up and down the plane. He got 3 people, 4 people, 5 people, right? And it's not like going real well. We're looking for you. He says, well, I'm not only half Jewish. She said, what half? My mother, man, that's it, man, you're okay, to know that. Keep him going, right? And he's got, I don't know the words, you have to know anything, right? That's sad, we don't know what we're doing, so that's a stand. He's going to stand and say, May will clue you to stick with the program. And he's down, there are 9 people. There's 9 people, the clock is ticking, and he's freaking out. And the stewardess is like, we're going to be taking off, like, you got to do the name. They're like, everyone's like rooting for the guy. He finds a guy in the corner, and he says, well, I suppose I'm Jewish. Said, what do you mean you suppose? Yeah, well, is your mother Jewish? Yeah, my mother's, but I don't practice anything, I don't believe in anything. He said, maybe your mother's Jewish, you're in. Yeah, but I'm not. He said, you're in. What am I going to do? He said, that's just watch. He's going to say the prayers, man, and his friend, like the organizer, says, listen, everybody, kid. He's going to say the prayers, right? When I go like this, you just say, Amen. Tell me, say, Amen. Every time I raise your hand, say, Amen. It's going to be great. We're going to do it. We're going to be taking off some circuit. We're just going to do it fast. He dives in the minute, like, Amen, they got it. Everyone says they done. Says his last contract. Okay, everybody take your seatbelts, take it off. He sits down. Bam, and we did it. Unbelievable. Lands in New York. Next morning, do you know what happens? Absolutely nothing. He didn't make any more money. That guy who didn't want to daven never became religious. Nobody found out that they were the great-grandson of the Vilna Gaon. Nothing happened. Absolutely nothing. With all the books on the market, you don't even believe me anymore. I would have told you to find out that the guy who didn't want to daven found out that really he is, the second reincarnation of Moshe Rabbeinu, right? You would have said, oh, I can believe that, right? Nothing happened. No, I don't believe that. We live in a generation where we want an instant response. God forbid you press a button and something doesn't download fast enough, you'll spend another $500 because the next thing that little red light beeps real faster than the first one. You still don't know what that red light does, but if it beeps faster, there's got to be a better model, right? We want a response. As a total aside, that's why the internet is really addicting, because you get a response. You press a button, somebody does something. Like when a kid presses their parents' button, right? Something happens, right? But you press a button, something happens. You don't write the letter, put it in the envelope, seal, put it on a stamp, put it in the mailbox, and it takes 3 weeks till they even get a response to know what they feel. Here you click and something else comes up, then you click again, something else comes up. You click again, something else comes up. That is literally, by the way, that is literally the addiction of it. That's why it's so addicting. That's why you just I'm going to spend 2 minutes looking up a recipe, and then 3 hours later, you're somehow buying something in some Hadassah bazaar with a virtual eBay or something, right? How'd you get there? Because you just things popping up. So we did that. I did admit. Okay, Dad, did you see that? I did admit. I woke you up, okay? Right? Okay, that doesn't count, God. Right? We want an instant response. That's the generation we live in. We do Mesiras Nefesh because we do Mesiras Nefesh. Don't do it because God's necessarily going to respond. He will! They dedicated the Mizbeach, and there was a fire. But it doesn't necessarily happen right away. Joseph did the right thing. Didn't sleep with the wife of his master. What a guy, he did it! Good for him! You know what his response was? Go to jail for 2 years. That's not funny, God. I'm the good guy, right? Oh, thanks to that, he became king of Egypt. But he didn't know that yet. God always responds with a fire. You just have to see it. And what's the one fire that he always responds with? Tell my girls all the time. It's the easiest thing to do. It's the best exercise you can have for your neshama. When we wake up in the morning, what's the first thing we do? We say, Moda'ani. Moda'ani lefanecha melech v'kayam. We thank you, the everlasting King. Shechazarta bi nishmasi b'chemla. You gave my soul back to me with mercy. Rabbi emunasecha. Your faith is very great. Right? You can buy every sometimes you go to Israel. They have little alarm clocks. You go, money in the middle, boom, you hit it on the head. Right? And stop doing it. Right? You get ones with black yarmulkes and knit yarmulkes. Very, Moda'ani, that's what we say every morning. Moda'ani lefanecha, I thank you, melech v'kayam, the everlasting King. Shechazarta bi nishmasi b'chemla. You gave my soul back to me with great mercy. Rabbi emunasecha, your faith is very great. What do you mean, Rabbi emunasecha? God's faith is very great. God's faith in what is very great? God's faith in you is very great. Because he woke you up. So when I talk to the kids, they don't think about that. Not everybody wakes up. Oh, everybody I know wakes up. And truth is, in today's day and age, even the kids can't say that anymore. You woke up. Why'd you wake up? Because God believes that you can make a difference. God believes that you haven't lost that spark. You want to know how God responds to the dedication you've put out in your life? Where's that fire that comes down from heaven? Where's that miraculous burning 8-day menorah? You wake up in the morning, Ner Elokim Nishmas Adam. Your soul is a candle. And just by waking up, that's a greater miracle than any story in any book. And it's an obligation, because it means that God believes in you. He believes that you can make a difference. As I tell my students all the time, and they think I don't tell it to them because they're insecure teenagers. But the smart ones, real smart ones know. Somebody once said, you keep on telling it to us. I wish I could tell it to my parents. And I said, don't worry, adults aren't necessarily that more secure. We just happen to have the credit card, but that's it. Rabbi Munasecha. All you have to do is believe in yourself as much as the HaKadosh Baruch Hu believes in you. And you can really change the world. And a fire will come down, and we will celebrate the dedication of the third temple. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful night.